Today we are going to talk about very important issues which many of the students are facing right now in our country, which is mental health. Not only students, many of us are facing it. So Shashank and Vishal were a part of student body in IITM, which helped so many students with counseling. So Shashank and Vishal, I would like to ask, please introduce yourself and since how long you have been associated with this body and how this all works. Please, Shashank.
Yeah. Hi, Alan. Thank you for inviting us. I am a PG student here in IITM with computer science branch. I have been associated with this student body called Mitra. So officially I was associated for 1 year, but as we say in Mitra, like once a Mitra, always a Mitra. So I would say that I am here for like 2 years now. I had a wonderful experience. I got to know a lot about the issues, the mental health related issues, which mostly we never talk about. I got to know that how common this is and how much widespread these problems are. Like it's almost with everyone. But since we never talk about it, we feel like okay, these are some very specific situations which happens with people, like not very common. I had an amazing experience, and I would say that I'm a changed person after like getting associated with this body.
Hi everyone, I am Vishal. I am also from IITM. I did a BTech plus MTech dual degree. I ideally should have been graduated, but I'm in the gray area due to Corona. So anyway, getting to the topic, me and Shashank were a part of student body, which consisted of volunteers who were willing to help and talk to anyone in need or counsel them as a fellow student. Our team, all of us had gone through some basic training sponsored by the institute. They taught us the basics about how to approach a student who need help. As a part of Mitra, I've been in Mitra for 4 years, and I similar to Shashank, I also feel like I've gone through a journey, and it's made me the kind of person who I am, having seen firsthand or experienced at least secondhand the issues of many students have faced in the institute, and also the role of the institute administration in the whole mental health scenario. So yeah, I think I'll pass it back to Alan.
My first question is, so since nowadays so many people feel depressed or they tell others that they are very depressed. So how true is this?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to point out that this term depressed, it is very much overly used. So there are these several kinds of feelings which we feel, and when we have to express ourselves that in a way that we are feeling negative, we have a negative emotion right now, we commonly use this word depressed. But I would like to point that it is just one of the feelings, one of the emotions which we feel. It's actually a very extreme situation when a person gets into the depression. It's really sad that we use this word so commonly that we have actually lost its meaning. There are so many different kinds of feelings, like feeling lonely, feeling distressed, feeling sad, anxiety, all these things, So there are so many. We are grieved about something, but we commonly put this as okay, we are depressed. So the problem which happens due to this is that the person who is really in depression, we cannot really differentiate, okay, he's actually going through something big, and we just say, okay, like yesterday I was in depression, today you are in depression, so it's fine. The bottom line is that depression is a very serious situation and we should not just generalize it.
Yeah, Vishal, you want to add something?
I just want to say that when you talk about depression and you want to do justice to the word, a good thumb rule would be that if you feel low today or for 2-3 days because of some incident that happened and you get back better again, that is usually not the case that you're in depression. You would call it a low or something, and it might be better to use the word distress for the emotion that you're feeling right now. It's somewhat moody, but when you talk about depression, it is usually the case when a person has been feeling low for a very long time, let us say for weeks and weeks, and starts to feel that he will never feel happy again. So when you go to that kind of condition, you go into depression. And if you are speaking about depression, there's actually more detailing to the fact that you can classify depression into mild depression, moderate depression, or serious or heavy depression. So I'm just trying to bring it to the point that it's actually not so okay to use the word commonly, but it's fine. But you should keep in mind that depression actually means serious issue.
Basically it's a clinical word. Depression is a clinical word, and we should not just use it like a common cold.
Yes.
There are so many misconceptions in the society. Can you please elaborate on this front?
That's really actually I would say it's a very enlightening question, because we generally underestimate the problems. For example, let's take this depression only. What happens is that you feel okay, today you have some feeling, you don't know how to express it, you don't know the correct word how to express it, and then you feel okay, I'm depressed. You go to internet and you start searching for the solutions. So you have this problem, you are looking for the solution. Since you don't know the actual word to express your problem, you start looking for something which you are not suffering from. This leads to other problems, because it might happen that some of your symptoms may be similar to some serious problem, some serious mental health related issue. You at this point you may get confused that okay, maybe I'm suffering from this. For example, bipolar disorder. So bipolar disorder is a serious situation, but just because you had a mood swing, you started behaving in a different way, your symptoms and the symptom of a bipolar disorder suffering person would be similar. Now, just because you had a mood swing, you cannot go and take medicines, or you cannot go and take the treatment for bipolar disorder, right? So clarifying these misconceptions is really important. So another thing is like the OCD. OCD is a situation where a person would feel like, okay, I have been missing something. For example, like I drove to the office and then suddenly I feel like, okay, maybe I did not lock the door. There are multiple options. You can just forget, okay, let it be, nothing will happen. Or you will drive back to the home and check whether you really locked or not. Maybe you can just talk to your neighbor and ask whether you locked the door or not. But the level of satisfaction that okay, no, I need to go back and check. What happens with this is that it is coming in between your everyday life, your everyday routine. It is disturbing your routine. What I'm trying to point out here is that a mental health issue is something which is actually a problem. It becomes a problem when it starts obstructing your everyday routine. This is something which we need to understand. Just because we heard the term and our symptoms matched with something else, that does not mean that okay, we are suffering from some actual issues. In that way, we underestimate the problem of the person who actually has it.
More misconception I want to bring into the picture is, so you have a psychologist slash therapist slash counselor. These are roundabout the same terms. And apart from that, you have a psychiatrist. So the difference between the two is that psychiatrist is a more clinical slash medical point of view, whereas the psychologist is someone you go and speak to and explain your issue, who help you sort out your thoughts or your issues. And when it happens that, for example, say in depression, you go into an extreme level of depression where even if a psychologist is not able to help you sort your issues because you're so deep, and that's when you go to a psychologist who gives you pills to be able to control your hormones or extreme moods. For example, in the case of some people who have a bipolar disorder. These are the broad distinction between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. People usually think that you go to these people only when you have a serious mental health disorder, or if you go to a more rural background or something, they say तुम पागल हो क्या, like you'd only go to these people when you're mental. And I would like to put some light on that. It's not like that. Okay, so I would like to explain you give an anecdote. There was this one case where there was this lady and she was facing some issues. We came to know through one of her contacts. We tried approaching her, and so we spoke to her. Okay, and then she explained some of her issues. Then what happened was, Mitra, what we do is we first try to convince that person to take professional help, because we are students, and if they are uncomfortable with taking professional help, then we are willing to listen to them, as long as their issue is not an extreme case which necessarily or without fail requires professional attention. And the response was that I am not having a mental health disorder or anything, right? Why should I be going and talking to one of these people? And their face had this expression as if there's something really wrong with me, that I should go and talk to a psychologist, professional about this. And so this is what we told her. It was simple. So I asked, like, okay, what happens if you're playing in the playground or something, and then there is a metal edge and you scratch, and then you have this wound of blood leaking, and then what do you say? You don't say that, oh, okay, like, you say that, okay, you have a cut, so you want to go to the doctor and get it checked for tetanus, maybe get a a booster slash vaccination injection order to prevent the risk of anything going bad. So at that point, you don't say, oh, maybe, okay, I am not having a life threatening issue, so only then if I'm having a life threatening issue, I will go to a doctor. That's not what you say, right? So similarly, when you have a issue, like it can be as simple as feeling low because feeling low for continuously 1 2 days because you didn't score well in your exam and you don't know how to come to terms with it. Even that simple issue, you can simply go and talk to a psychologist, because what they basically do is help you sort out your thoughts. And just like you're taking precautions for this cut, you are simply taking precaution and letting them help you. Like a doctor will say, okay, put Dettol on it and rub it. A psychologist will say, oh, this is how you're feeling, so you can think of it in this way, or they'll help you sort out your thoughts. So it is not that much different than going to a doctor for your physical health. Simply going to a psychologist is to, if you have any concerns about your mental health, you can go to a psychologist. It's as simple as that. And you don't actually need to be having a serious mental health disorder to talk to a psychologist. Why you need to have this mindset is also because if you might actually be having a serious mental health disorder, like if you would have a life threatening physical disease, then would you prefer not going to the doctor, or would you prefer going to the doctor and finding out as soon as possible that you have an issue? Similarly, even if you have a mental health disorder, if you're scared that, oh, maybe something wrong with me, that's why I should go and check it out, what's wrong with simply going and taking a safety measure? If you actually have an issue, if she diagnoses you that, okay, you have this disorder, then you're actually treating it at an early stage. So it's actually helpful. So yeah, once we explained it to her, after 5 minutes of thinking, she said, give me some time. Then she said, okay. And then she went and then she got better. So this is one major misconception people have, that to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist or DD, which is a term used by some, like Dimaka doctor, you don't need to have a serious issue. You can always approach them for even small issues. That's what they are for. Just like you can go to your doctor for a small skin rash. It's the same thing. So this is one misconception I'd like to clear. One final thing I'd like to bring into the picture is how people like a lot of people look at mental health. So again, I'd like to bring in an anecdote. There was this one person I had noticed in my time. So we were organizing some talks, sessions, and even in social media, I was connected with that person. So after I knew them for a while, and then he started attending all these sessions and reacting to social media issues and himself making some posts. So I got curious, and one day I was talking to him and I asked, and then so what he told me was uh, that he had a issue himself, after which he had to deal with the problem and the suffering or everything. And then he started getting interested in mental health, looked it up, approached to a psychologist for help and took help and got better. And after that he realized the importance, so he was taking interest in all this. But the interesting thing he told me was that before he faced the issue himself, whenever a mail came regarding one of the programs we put or sessions we put for mental health or articles, he comes across, he simply used to swipe it, thinking that he's an educated person, he just knows what issues are there, and he was fine with it. I would like to Shashank, can you say something about this? I think that analogy you told me once was really good.
Yeah, actually, that's a funny analogy. I found it. So it is, it is regarding this safety measures. So we all want to be safe. One of the issues which we know, which is very prevalent, very common, is like the fire. Like घर में आग लगती है, हम सबको पता है घर में आग लगती है. Like it's a very common thing. कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है, short circuit हो जाएगा, कुछ हो जाएगा, and then there can be the fire. और उससे बचने का solution we all know. Like we need to have a fire extinguisher at home. How many of us have fire extinguisher at home? Mostly, actually. Yeah. Okay. Good, Helen. But in general, we don't find fire extinguisher at our homes. The problem is, हमें लगता है हाँ घर में आग लग सकती है, लेकिन मेरे घर में आग नहीं लग सकती है, पड़ोसी के घर में आग लगेगी. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we know that the problem is there, and we know that okay, reaching out the solution is also easy, but we don't actually go and look for the solution because we think that we are never going to face this problem. This is too big to happen to me, right? I mean, I am just a normal simple person, 9 to 5 job, and and a family. What kind of mental problem will happen to me? But when it actually happens and we get the solution, at that time we get to know that okay, it is that common. And then we start exploring. As I just said, you had the problem, you found the solution, and then you explore. The time which you lose here in actually realizing the problem and finding the solution is too much that the effect of this will be there for your entire life. Sometimes just reaching out to your friend helps, and sometimes reaching out to a doctor helps, right? So unless you know the problem, you cannot know what is the right solution. Whenever somebody is dealing with mental health related issues, if there is someone who says that okay, you can approach me and talk about it, be sure that the person would maintain confidentiality. I mean, in general, like the doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, and even in our practice as Mitra, the student body, our highest priority was to maintain the confidentiality, so that the person can feel comfortable, can feel safe, that okay, whatever you tell me, it is not going out. I'm not going to talk to my friends also. Even among ourselves, when we talk, we don't disclose the details, we don't disclose the names, right? So that is the level of confidentiality. So it's always safe to reach out. Everybody is aware of the insecurities because everybody shares those insecurities. The problems are very common.
That was a very good analogy from Shashank and Vishal, you both. Now let's talk about what are the common problems faced by the students who are studying in these competitive institutes like IITs, IIMs, or AIMS. Recently, we are hearing so many unfortunate events happening across the country and across these competitive colleges as well. What are your takes? So Vishal, you must have dealt with all the UG cases, and Shashank, you must have dealt with all the PG cases. Please share your experiences with UG and PG guys.
When you come to the issues, of course, there's a whole multitude of issues. So I would say the most differentiating factor is the level of expectation and competitiveness that the students who study here feel. And it comes from multiple issues. I'm speaking of the UG scenario. So it comes from multiple issues, from the fact that till your 12th grade, your 12th standard, you're studying from home, and you come here, you come to college, it's a new environment, and usually that itself is causes mental health issues in general. But if you come to these scenarios, what happens is at their hometown or the native place, the student is a top performing student, right? That is why he has been able to achieve being coming to a premier institute. And once he's here, he is no longer the top performing student. He is along with all the other people who are top performing students from their places, and by this suddenly you are no longer at the top, right? So your selfie or your self judgment might get affected. And further, how this plays in like, because you have come from a competitive environment, and that is why you are at the top, you have this nature of comparison with people to some level ingrained in you. And that goes to the fact that you have the level of expectations, right? So for example, I'll give my own story. So there were times, there was this one vacation where I was like, okay, I am going to do this project under a professor, and I was not sure I'll be able to do the project. And I was like, okay, let me try it. Let me not keep any expectation. Let me just do it for fun, see where it goes. And it so happened that due to some or the other reason, I was not able to do well in between. I sort of decided that it's not, doing some fruition. Instead, these vacations are now once in a year, whereas I used to stay with my family earlier. So let me, spend this 1.5 months with my family. And so I went back home, but then as the institute was about to begin, I started feeling this thing whenever I was talking to my friends that they're already doing some internship somewhere, they're working this somewhere, they're doing something or the others. Everyone is doing something, whereas I'm this useless guy who's sitting at home chilling and god knows what, watching Netflix or whatever. And once I'm back, I constantly have this feeling that, oh, wait, they've already done this internship, whereas I have not done anything. And if I want to apply for anything in the future, let us say the internships in the next year, or when I'm going to sit for my job, these guys have already done something, but I don't have anything to show for myself. And not only that, it comes to the whole extracurricular and co-curricular activities too, because there are all these PORs, positions of responsibility. Say, like, when you have these fests, having technical fests, cultural fests, so you can be a person who's organizing it. And yeah, given that there's only few roles for, like, so many students, not everyone can get the important role. And if you are not doing anything, or if you're not doing some extra projects where you're only sticking to the curriculum, you always find everyone to be doing something or the other. So you have this constant comparison of self-judgment, or that, okay, you're not doing something, which starts eating away at your self-esteem and making you lose your self-confidence. The fact is that you might want to achieve something, but because of the fact that it was somewhat easier to achieve back where you are from, but now that you're in a place where everybody is competitive and everybody is competent, level of competence is higher, you're not able to do. And also it's very confusing, man. I mean, if you, for example, if you want to get into an IIT or NIT, then you study for IIT JEE or IIT mains. That's the only thing you had to do. Whether you had any other extracurricular curricular activities, it didn't matter. So you had this one specific thought of line, or dedication towards this one thing, prioritization, and you did it, you got the result, okay. But then you come here and then you have freedom. No, it's not simply that no longer that people around you are telling you to study, or your parents are there, or someone to constantly keep you motivated, and it's on you. And not simply that, there is also multitude of things you can do. You can do things like, you can go participate in fests, or you can go do some projects under professors, or instead you can play sports. They also sometimes help you. Some companies prefer that. So there's so many things you can do. Or you might have some personal aspirations, like, okay, I want to get a girlfriend, or say many other things which you would have thought that, okay, I want to pursue all these things. But when it comes to living life, you no longer know how to prioritize. If you try to focus on that, then you're losing out on this. And when you see someone else doing better in things where you didn't put your effort into, you're not sure anymore. And because of all these things, there is this constant sense that you're falling behind, whereas that is actually not the truth for what you might want in the end. If you want a job, it's not so difficult. And I felt this because later on, when I got an internship, I went and spoke to other students who came from other colleges, and I realized that I am levels above them, in simply the fact that I am from IIT, and also the fact that I actually, because I was in IIT, I did do some extracurricular co-curricular activities, whereas they did not do, but they were much more peaceful in life. And
Right.
later on, as I was in touch, they also got jobs. They also lived life. They were also happy. They were not unhappy as such. There is this extra and somewhat unnecessary feeling or sense of falling behind or insecurity that comes with being in this highly competitive environment, which commonly manifests in the form of frustration of the fact that your performance is not as good as before, even though you put the same consistent effort, nervousness or anxiety when you are writing the exam, or when you're going to give an interview, because you no longer have the kind of self-confidence, or stress because you want to perform, so you put more effort on yourself. And there is some culture of workaholicism, or people get burnt out by simply working and doing night outs and not exploring their hobbies. It's interesting. So I think these are the broad issues when it comes to undergraduate. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll pass it on to
Vishal,
Shashank.
Vishal, that was a great insight. That was a great insight. Shashank, please, can you tell me few things about what you felt when you were dealing with some cases regarding PG students?
So before coming to PG, I would like to add a little bit from UG perspective. There are few additional issues which, since I am not from I did not do my BTech from IIT. So there are some other issues. I mean, uh, and somebody from IIT would find it a little trivial, but being a non-IITian for my BTech, I would say that okay, there were some common issues which we felt there during my graduation. So we all know how much students prepare in their 11th, 12th, and after, even if they are taking drop for IIT. Now, not everybody like Vishal and others are lucky to get into IIT finally, and we end up into some private college or some state level college. Now, these students who could not make it to IIT just because of few points, few marks, they have a different level of anxiety, different level of problems. Now they are competing with students who are, now these students are actually really very competitive, but they just could not make it, and now they are competing with students with a lot lower level of their intellect. I would say, maybe some other word would be more apt. So they consistently feel, okay, I'm not at the right place. And in most of the cases, like I felt, I saw this in my college until the entire first year, some of the students are preparing for IIT again, like who came to the college in the first attempt itself. So you still have one more attempt for IIT. So they are preparing for it. Sometimes they get and sometimes they don't get. And if they don't get after the end of the 1 year, now they have the double issue. Their first year scores are very low. They did not make it to IIT. And now they have a host of issues to deal with, right? So it's another spectrum altogether. Maybe we can talk about it sometime else, some other time. But yeah, that is something. Then mostly mental health related issues are based on expectations. One of the things which I found was dealing with the diversity. So the students who are coming from different states, maybe to the south or to the east, and they are not finding the food. Okay, I said from north perspective. So the food is different, right? The people are different. Sometimes they find it a little difficult to adjust. The person who studied entire life in the Hindi medium, and they come here and in the college and they have to talk to people in English medium. Now these are the things which it's very disastrous for the person. They tend to get lonelier and they don't make friends, and they have a host of issues after this. These are also very common problems. Now coming to PG, one of the things which I feel the problem with PG mostly is that meeting the expectations. PG usually is like 2-year course, and if you go for some research degree, maybe it will extend to 3 years at some places. And you are coming with a lot of expectations. Your family have some expectations with you. You yourself have a lot of expectations related to your career, or you want to just upskill yourself. Then you are associated with a guide. Now you need to maintain a good rapport with your guide. You need to know the domain in which your guide is working. Then there are your lab mates. Now you have to work in coordination with them. Many of the times the students who have been working all alone in their school time, in their BTech time, and suddenly you have to collaborate with your lab partners who are like maybe your seniors, or sometimes you feel, okay, they are just more intelligent than us. Then coping up with their intelligence, their skill set sometimes becomes very difficult. Then on top of that, there is coursework, then there is research work. You have to learn all the research related skills. So a lot of things are going on, and you have to maintain all these things. On top of that, there is this time management issue. We just don't, nobody teaches us time management in the school, right? And when we have to manage all these things, it becomes really difficult. So where does the problem come? The problem comes that when at some point you miss the track. Your guide said something you did not comprehend, and now you don't know what to do. One week passed and you don't have anything to show. Now what will you do after this? I mean, so your guide will get angry. Maybe he will shout on you, and it all depends on your perspective. How do you take it? Some people are just they're okay, chill, chalta hai sab, और उनके लिए सब ठीक हो जाता है. But not all of us are like that. और वहां से चीजें बिगड़नी शुरू हो जाती हैं. Once you lose the track, and and something goes wrong. Maybe you got less marks in your coursework, or maybe you could not finish your like some task was assigned to you and you could not finish on time. You start losing self-confidence, and once that happens, it becomes really tricky, because you have to maintain all those things. You have to manage a lot of things, as I mentioned earlier, and you don't have a lot of time, right? So your degree is like for 2 years, you have to finish everything quickly. So the problem which happens is that once you lose your self-confidence, you get into this vicious cycle that you are not able to cope up with the expectations, all these expectations, and then you don't have time. So there is this loop you get into this, and this becomes very problematic. Then there are other issues related to research. Not everybody's research ends together, right? So what could happen is that you came together with all your friends, your work got over, others' work got over, you are still stuck there. Now all your friends are gone, you don't have anyone in the campus, and you still have a lot of work. Now this is another level of issue. These are the problems which PG students face. Apart from this, the other problems which Shal talked about related to UG. So when it comes to emotions, yeah, it's a similar here. Like if you have some relationship issues, or sometimes you just work a lot. Like that is another problem, mostly in research or in MTech also. Like in IITs, actually, I've seen there's a lot of coursework, so much pressure of coursework. So there's those problems that you may get burnt out, and you just don't know what to do. I have a lot of work, I'm doing it, and now I'm feeling low about it. So I don't know, feeling tired and all those things. So yeah, these are some skills which we need to learn, and unless we learn those skills, we need to reach out to people and talk about these things, so that we just don't get sidelined and mentally get sidelined. Do not remain in the situation where we can finally cope up with the situation.
Yeah, that was really great. Can Vishal, you or Shashank, can you share some real life stories about students or a few cases which you guys were part of counseling within institute, or some stories of your friends or anyone which you have heard?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning earlier about this, so one of these cases I found where there was this guy who was very jolly. He was in his PhD. So PhD is like usually a 5-year course, depending on the stream, but just take it. The case which I'm talking about was 5 years. And this guy had some issue. He had to take a break for like 6 months. Now, when he came back after 6 months, he was really good academically. So he just picked up everything and started working. What happened that his friends graduated within like 5 years or so. Since he took a break and then he needed some time to get back to his work. When 6 years have been passed in his PhD, then we actually met. His problem was that his friends are gone. He do not have anyone in the campus. Now our campus is like, maybe Vishal can correct, there are 6,000 students in the campus around, and he is lonely. So that is the problem. He has around 10 people in the lab. He has his guide, and he's glad that he has that guide, whoever he had, and like the guide is very friendly. His lab mates are very friendly, but since his close friends have already graduated, he is feeling low. And now this is a difficult situation. I was talking to him and he was like, okay, they used to come and every day in the morning we used to go for breakfast together. Now I'm eating all alone. This person is not willing to go out and make new friends. He is consistently thinking about his old friends and what they are doing now, how he is left out. Not that he is willing to go and start doing a job or anything. He knows that, okay, he can finish his work in like next 6 months or so. But managing his time is becoming difficult now. Why? Because of the expectation. He expected something of himself. He could not do it for whatever reason. Right? In research, this is very common. Okay, so there was this another issue which I recall right now. It was related to relationship. Now, one of the problems which we face, okay, this is, I don't want to say interesting, but because it is somebody's really genuine problem. This guy had a girlfriend from his BTech time, and she started working. He came for post-graduation, PG. Why? Because he wanted to work, he wanted to upskill himself. That's it. I mean, he was just interested in doing research. He came here. Now he's a student, and the girl, his girlfriend, is doing job. And now there is this consistent pressure where his family wants to, the girl's family wants her to get married. She did not tell at her home about the relationship. And the boy, he is actually interested in research, but he is now confused what to do. A lot of fight happened, on and off breakup and all those things, which are like the common issues of relationship. But then since they were in the serious relationship, it has started hampering his daily routine. To get away from this problem, to cope up with this problem, some friend of his suggested him to like take help from substances like alcohol and all. So he started going to the nearby mall and started drinking and all. But the guy was really aware, like everything was fine. So he was actually aware that, okay, this beer, like alcohol is not helping me. Okay, I can take like a few hours break when I'm drunk. Maybe I'm not thinking about her and the relationship status and all those things. But this guy actually reached out. He came to us and he knew his problem. All he wanted was to talk. So he knew the problem, he knew the solution. So this is where, like earlier we were talking about the precaution, like since he was aware that, okay, talking helps. This is the situation in which if I talk to someone, it will be helpful. Now, this guy also did not have any friends in the college. Many people can relate. Why? Because he was in masters, and within 1 year, you do not make a lot of friends if you don't talk to people, and you don't talk to people if you have a girlfriend to talk to. So he did not have many friends as a result, and so as a result, he did. He could not talk to anyone. He reached out to us. It was really helpful for him. Now he is about to graduate, and to the best of my knowledge, everything is going to be settled. His girlfriend is not married yet. So, yeah, I would like to wish him all the best.
Yeah,
but my point was that
it's always beneficial if you open up with close friends or open up with someone.
Yeah, so basically, if he would have continued on the path of alcohol, he would have got addicted by now.
Right.
But he saved himself from addiction also. He saved his relationship. He finished his work just because he knew that what to do.
Right.
So yeah, another point I'd like to bring out from the same anecdote is that you see that guy, he was aware not simply of his issue, but he was also aware. He actively wanted to speak to someone, and he also, I remember hearing from Shashank that he said he just wants someone to talk to and spend time with, so that instead of relying on alcohol, he can talk to someone and make progress as well as get off his feelings, and that was helpful for him. So this is a common thing we see, wherein a huge chunk of the stress or the load people face when they're going through something is taken off when they go and speak out to someone.
So Vishal, I also want to share a story. So I have a friend. There was a course, let's say XYZ course, and it was a really difficult course and lots of assignments. And that friend was really, I don't know how I felt that, but I always used to poke him. I always used to ask him about how's assignments going, how is quiz going and all. Are you taking proper lunch, dinner and all that stuff. After the course and in that semester, then that friend came to me, and then he was like, while you were poking throughout the last semester, it was a really great help, because at that time he was so tensed and pressurized due to various of things. I won't be mentioning it here, but at that moment he was feeling that he can do anything. He can take any extreme step to escape that situation. Knowingly or unknowingly, talking helps. And I think we always have to look out for those people, for those friends who are keeping their emotions to themselves, and you should just go and talk to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many of you out there relate. I think a lot of you should relate that, whenever you have this unfair professor who seems to have made you stand up in class and shouted, and you feel so distressed, the moment you go and, go to a friend and, say all sorts of things you want to say about that professor, and, once you let it out itself, you feel like a lot of it, your load is gone. So that is actually a very helpful thing in dealing with stress or many issues as such. And I think it comes from us being humans, and humans are a social creature, right?
Right.
So yeah, that is one thing. But yeah, that being said, I would say that that is not the end line. That is not where all the issues can get solved. Like for example, there are cases where that person just wants to talk to get validation or some sort of attention seeking, and when that is the case, usually talking to someone at that point does not solve it. Like, plus there is also sometimes that the issue is much more complicated, that even if you talk, you will only get a very temporary relief, and next day onwards you'll be facing the same issue. So of course talking helps, and for many times that is good enough to continuously rely on someone and let your issues out, can do that. But it is not a issue for it is not a solution for uh, long term issues. There was this one particular case where that person had an issue which was not something that I as a student counselor could solve, and he was very unwilling to approach professional help. And it so happened that I was meeting with that person for a long time, and sometimes not just me, but other members when I was busy. And that person used to go speak and feel relieved and say, "You're so helpful." But then within a week, he would come again saying, "I need to talk again." And this was something that went on for more than a year. And the the problem was not that he was coming out and continuously using help. The problem was that it was the exact same issue that he had since such a long period, which never got resolved. So yeah, finally he went and took professional help, and then it actually came out that he was diagnosed with a particular disorder. He took a break for a semester. His parents came in. His parents also helped, and yeah, so that's when things changed and became for the better, and like he was able to get better. So yeah, there's both sides to the story. So it's of
Right.
course helpful to yeah, like I was saying, it's of course helpful to reach out to people, but that is not always the solution. You That does not mean that for all your issues you simply avoid going to a psychologist. So be mindful. See, if talking to your friends help, it's good, but if the issue is not going away, then definitely you should reach out to a psychologist. So yeah, I'd like to wrap this
I
up here.
think that's where the knowledge of some of the common issues are helpful, like the knowledge of common issues among the general public, so that we can help ourselves, our friends,
Mm.
and family. That is why, like, so Ellen, I would like to say that like making such videos, I mean, talking about such topics is really good. You are doing a nice job, and I would like to encourage people to read about these things because. There are people around us who are facing these issues, and it's just that since we don't know, we don't get to know, okay, we
Right.
don't know about the issue, so we don't get to know, okay, this person is having this problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
Exploring
thank
is
you so
important.
much. Thank you so much, Shashank and Vishal, for giving me your precious time and talking about all these stuffs. In the next video, we will surely talk about relationship and breakup issues and loneliness, nihilism, LGBTQ, and many more issues like that. We really hope that these issues and our discussions will help many students and many people in their life. Thank you so much, Shashank. Thank you so much, Vishal, for joining me today.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks for the
Thank you, Alan.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
So, bye.